you get plenty of coverage of Oklahoma State football. You think you hear all the noise coming from Gallagher-Iba Arena when you get your Cowboy basketball news. But you don't.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
And there's a couple of Jordans here to fix just that. This is the Cowgirl Coverage Podcast.
This could be a podcast. Anyone with a computer can make one.
And here are your hosts, Jordan Keene and Jordan Bishop.
Welcome back to the Cowgirl Coverage Podcast. Glad to have you along here on episode number 36. Again, not going to be able to, this one's not going to be as long as some of our previous ones. Just going to have an interview in this one as well. We do apologize for not getting you a few more of these episodes during soccer season. But we're Jordan and I able to sit down with Elise Hawn last week and had a good conversation with her. They're about to take on Santa Clara on Friday night and should be a good one out there. This was actually this was in the midst of the Big 12 tournament that we talked to her. So a few weeks ago, but appreciate her spending some time with us, and you'll hear that right now. You're listening to the Cowgirl Coverage Podcast on the Triple Play Podcast Network. Welcome back to the Cowgirl Coverage Podcast, Triple Play Podcast Network. Jordan and Jordan with you once again down here at Neil Patterson Stadium, and joined now by senior and one of the leaders for the Cowgirls, Elise Hawn. Appreciate you taking out a few minutes and joining us.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm finally glad I got to be on the podcast.
Oh, no, that means they're talking about it. But anyway, as we continue to move throughout pretty much everyone on the Cowgirl team, we started with, if you can take yourself back, and for the seniors it's quite a bit, it's a little further than the freshmen, but if you can go back to your recruiting process, kind of if you can think back to then, what kind of drew you to Oklahoma State?
What drew me to Oklahoma State was just the home feel. I came from a very small town, so I was kind of looking for the same feel but with 10 times or a lot more people involved. So it still was a lot of people because I love meeting new people, but it had that hometown feel. And of course, I love the coaches. I talked to Colin and Justin and Karen, and I was like, this is the place for me because I loved my club coach and we had that very tight-knit relationship, and I was looking for that in the coaches here as well. And I grew up, a lot of people from North Texas were in my recruitment class. So that also helped, knowing a lot of people. I played against Julia Linhart, JC Jones, people like that. And, it was nice coming in and knowing people as well. So it was just the hometown feel. And, it's just kind of that instant connection. I didn't need to visit anywhere else. I was like, this is where I belong. This is where I'm going to be. And I committed probably not long after I visited. Colin's very good at recruitment too. So I'll give it to him on that, but don't tell him I said that.
This place, Neil Patterson, was this in the works when you were being recruited? Was this something they mentioned to you? This is there's a new stadium on the way. We know that was probably part of it. What was the story behind that?
It was always an ongoing joke. So Colin, he showed us the plans probably my freshman year of high school. He was like, oh yeah, this should be done by the time, freshman year, whenever you get here. And of course I get here freshman year, I'm like, oh, Colin, where's that stadium? Which I know it's a little different, you need to get the money in. And I worked in posse office over the summer, so I know how donations work, but I just loved giving him a hard time with it. I'm like, oh yeah, wasn't it supposed to be ready 2 years ago whenever you told me? So it was really funny. Just it was an ongoing joke, but to actually be in here right now, I'm worth the 7 years of waiting from whenever I was told it was gonna happen. I'm like, that's fine. I'm cool with it as long as I got to play in here for a year or 2 years, but inside the locker room for a year. I'm so fine with it. But yeah, it was funny having it. That's so crazy. It was brought up 7 years ago. Isn't that weird? I was like, is my math right on that?
What is this? What you expected when you you look at plans, you don't know what it's going to look like. Is this anything sort of what you imagined?
Not at all what I expected. It's way better than what I expected. Again, you see plans, and I feel like I'm very good at imagining what things look like, but it's just one thing being in it. I didn't think it would make me feel this way. It's very I don't know. I feel like it's mine almost. I didn't think I would think that coming in. Oh, I'm just going to be here 4 years and then I'll leave. But now I just feel like it's kind of my home forever, and it's kind of cool. So I love it, and it's amazing and way better than what I imagined.
it's kind of a shock just to, we talked to Cami Hustle about this and about being from a small Texas town, coming to even playing here and playing in front of, Power 5, crowds, Power 5 opponents. Just kind of, what was it like, growing up in a small Texas town playing soccer? She mentioned that she had to go play in like a field and there was like armadillos and stuff. So just kind of what was it like, from your perspective playing in a small Texas town?
So I didn't even get high school soccer until my junior year. So I didn't even get to, what is it? So club is so different, right? You just play with your parents are there. That's it. No friends really come because it's like an hour out of the way. As great as some friends can even drive at that time. Like it just really depends. But like whenever I got soccer my junior year, even then, like, I was like, oh man, this is a big crowd tonight. What, like 100 people, like 100, like, and then like my practicing, like going back to whenever I would like want to practice on my own, there was like, like really nowhere. Like I couldn't get on the field whenever we like freshman, sophomore year, because we didn't have a soccer field. So what I would do, my mom would always get so mad at me, is I would go out at night and on my concrete like driveway, I would hit the ball against the garage door and break a lot of lights. And my mom would always get so mad at me. I'd be like, I don't know who did that. And she's like, I heard you play soccer last night. Like I heard it. The room is right there. And I was like, oh, I really don't know. But yeah, so that was kind of like my thing. I didn't have any armadillos running around like Cammie did. So I'm sorry I don't have as interesting of a story. But I did break a lot of lights. Like you could ask my mom, I easily broke like 20, and I think I broke a window as well but it got better. So I didn't break as many windows over the years, so I think that means that the practice was working. So but yeah, and then coming here and having like going from like a crowd of like 100, 200, because we got moved up to 4A, which was not very big. I think I graduated with a class of 121 kids and got a soccer team junior year, if that tells you anything. And going from that to this, like you just really can't imagine, but I love the pressure. Like, playing in front of a lot of people, I think every athlete kind of loves that kind of pressure. So it was just amazing to actually like live it, especially what last year was against OU. We had like the record 4,122 people come, which was like, over double like of what the stadium is used to. And it was amazing to like play under that. And that's kind of like, it made it like worth the wait as well. So it was really cool coming from like a small town to this, which is still a small town, but it has a lot of people and a lot like, there's like a lot of pride and a lot of history attached to it, which is why I love it so much.
So, obviously talking about the kind of the dedication that you have for this sport, because you started out just doing club, going hours away, and there wasn't very many people in tennis, but you love the sport so much. Just kind of what was the reason you chose soccer? Like, why did you fall in love with soccer, and just kind of what do you feel the soccer has done for you in your life?
I don't know. I actually have like a funny story, because I honestly didn't I shouldn't have chose soccer after this. So basically, like I was very little, probably like 4 is whenever I started, and I played on this team called the Red Hots. And I remember the very first time, I think my mom was the coach, my mom and her best friend. They were like, all right, guys, like dribble around this little box. Everyone else dribbled with their feet. What did I do? Picked the ball up with my hands and started dribbling. So you would think that like basketball was like my way to go, but no. But for some reason, I don't know. I always had a connection with soccer. Sometimes you can't explain the connection you have with something, but it's just there and you feel it and it clicks and it makes sense. That's what soccer was for me. It was my outlet. It made me feel better. Like whenever I did get mad at my mom because I thought she wasn't being, fair to me because I didn't get dessert before dinner, I would go out on the garage door, work on soccer, and I would feel better while also making my mom mad, which was a bonus. So like it was just like that outlet for me, and it always has been and still to this day is. And it's kind of crazy to me that I calculated, assuming we make it all the way through the tournament for Big 12 and all the way to the final for NCAA, 8 games. 8 games left of my like collegiate career, which is crazy. And I just, I still feel that connection with soccer, and I still want to continue after these 8 games. So can't explain the connection I have, but it just has helped me in so many ways and helped me develop as a person, and not just a player on the field, but a player or like a person off the field as well. So
we won't make you rush through and think about like the last 8 games too quickly here, but after after they are done, like, have you given thought to playing afterwards or outside of soccer? What are you studying? You mentioned you like had an internship or something this summer with the university. What's that about? And outside of soccer, what do you maybe want to do when you get done?
So I'll start with like my internship. So I worked for the posse office, which it was a really like cool experience because I got to learn a lot about like what goes behind sports and athletics and how the money is like taken and how, you know, like to develop those donor relationships, which was really cool. And I got to meet a lot of cool donors. And there was actually a donor, I cannot remember his name. I want to say it was Steve something, but I cannot remember his last name because it was the beginning of summer. But I talked to him for 30 minutes on the phone, and he ended up recently, probably like a month ago, came to one of my soccer games because I wrote him a note saying he should come out. And he actually came to a soccer game. He goes, I don't know. His name was Don something. Sorry, not Steve. I remember that though. And he comes up to me and he's like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Like, I don't know if you remember me, but I talked to you at the posse office. And it was just so cool to like, I mean, develop those relationships. So I know that's something I want to do in the future. Again, have no clue. I'm marketing and management major with a sports management minor. And so that, y'all know business, it could go anywhere. So I don't know exactly where I want to take on that. I don't know when I want to start that, but I do know I like developing those relationships, and Posse kind of helped me realize that as well. And I love the people that work there as well. They were really cool, and I might continue that in the spring if they allow me. And as of soccer, I told you I'm not ready to give that up. Still not. And I would love, you know, like there's people like Barbara Zagani. She played here for a little bit, and Kumba So, Loren Tresfield, all very good international players. Like, they came over here. Why can't I go over there and try for a year or two to see if that's something I really, really want to do? So I've thought about it, and Loren plays for a team in Paris. And I texted her. I was like, honestly, do you think, you know, like I have what it takes? And she goes, it's very different, but I think you can do it. And we kind of have not similar style of play, but she's very physical like me. So I was like, if she can go, I can go. So I really would like to at least try to go like internationally and see what there is for me. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I come back. But, you know, as much as it sucks, like, you know, like I can't always play soccer forever, but I could always pick up a career. That's what I thought about. At like not any point in time, like, but in your 20s, you know, like I feel like you can kind of pick it up. But soccer, you know, as time goes on, that option goes away. So that's something I would really want to do first. And there's actually a combine coming up that kind of teaches you about like international play. And I would really, for WPSL, and I would really like to go to that. It's 30 minutes from my house, so it's kind of meant to be. So, but yeah, I would really like to play overseas if possible. And if that doesn't work out, you know, I still have a lot of great options, like career-wise. Have no idea what those are yet. But I just know. I have a feeling.
There you go.
You know, and you mentioned going to Paris with Loren. Just kind of, would that be a dreams place for you to go, or are there any other places in Europe you'd like to see, you know, if you're over there?
Oh, man. So I didn't like, I don't know if I could play on Loren's team, but Paris would be cool. I'd be down to play wherever, honestly. Like, I've thought about, my dad has weirdly connections in Ireland, and he's just been trying to push Ireland, I think, because he wants to visit me there and wants to go there selfishly. You know how that is. I don't blame him, though. I would try to do the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Ireland is so cool, so he's been trying to convince me. Ireland, there's England, France, Italy. I know a lot of the teams that are going to be at the Combine are from Italy. And so it's cool because, like, I'm a little less than 1/3 Italian, so I'm like, hey, maybe I could actually, like, learn some Italian. But I honestly am not picking in that way. Honestly, whatever team kind of takes me. And, and Anna Beffer played. And I cannot say it, Strasbourg. I don't know how you say that. In France. Yeah. At Strasbourg, my friend from France had no idea what I meant whenever I said Strasbourg, so I know I don't pronounce it right. But y'all know what I mean. So, like, she played there for a year, and, you know, she only played there for a year, and then now she has, like, a career here. But she got to experience that for a year, which I think is awesome. So I'm not picky. Just I'm going to talk to my coaches and see where they think is a good fit for me.
Outside of soccer, and I know we say this to every student athlete, and we know you don't get a ton of time outside of soccer and school during the season, but outside of soccer, what's a hobby, something you like to do outside of just playing soccer?
Oh my goodness.
That's the reaction we usually get.
Yeah, because soccer's like all we know. We're like programmed to only think about soccer, which is good. Like, I programmed myself a long time ago to do that. But recently I've started visiting the Humane Society a lot more. Like, I really like dogs. I love them. It's kind of dangerous because I want to go there and I just want to adopt them all because I have a connection with them all. And I like doing that. I love convincing my parents to bring my dog up from home so I can walk him and pretend like he's a human and take him everywhere. What else? Gosh, I don't know. That's a tough question. What have like what's the weirdest hobby like you've heard so far, like from my teammates? So maybe I know where. Yeah, like I know Cammie had a really good.
Well, she said she's just studying for the MCAT. So
Oh my, she does. She actually, the thing is, that's not a lie. She actually studies like 24/7 and some if she could. So, I watch a lot of TV. I probably really need to like get out there and like be active. But we're like working so hard over here. Like it's like whenever I get free time, I'm like, yeah, let me just stay here and do nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Julia talked about making different coffees for her coffee shop.
She does. She does really she wants to open up a coffee shop, which I think is so cool. And
Are you gonna be your business partner? Are you gonna be the business?
You know what? Maybe I could like market for her coffee shop.
There you go.
Maybe I need to talk to her. Julia Lenhart, if you're listening, I would really love to work with you and be a marketer for your coffee shop. I think I could do really well. And if you want to set up an interview, please let me know. Okay. See, yeah, thank you guys. Sorry, I had to give myself a little shout out.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Do you have anything else?
I had one just kind of, looking at kind of OSU as a whole and the way that women's sports are doing so well here. What do you think about playing at this university, the support that women's sports gets, especially here at OSU?
I mean, I think women's sports is slowly getting like a lot more recognition, and I think it's awesome that like we're representing. Like, who was it? Was it like cross country that just won? Yeah, I just wish them like she was like, who was it? It was Kat. She was like, hey, congrats, and I was like, oh, thank you. And then I did a double take. I was like, hey, congrats! Look at us go. So I just really like that. Like, I mean, I really want us, like, I think we both paved the way for women's sports, and I really hope that like softball gets a Big 12 championship, basketball gets a Big 12 championship, track, like all of those, even the men's sports. But like women's sports, I think we're finally like gaining like a lot more traction with the fans as well. I mean, I can feel it. I don't know if it's just the stadium, but I'm gonna say it's us too. But it's so nice to know that like people do like support us, and I hear a lot more about women's sports in general in the past 3 years than I did my freshman year in the past. So I really do think we're gaining a lot of traction. I think that's really nice to know, and it's really it's amazing, and I think it's just going to get better in the future. Basketball and football, we're coming for you.
All right, last one. I've asked everyone. Are you a big pro soccer fan? If so, favorite team, and then second of all, do you have a favorite soccer player that you maybe looked up to, U.S. women's national team, something like that?
Oh man, honestly, recently I have been trying to watch like a lot more like pro soccer, but I don't have a favorite team yet. I know I've watched like Liverpool and Man City because my best friend Noah's a Man City fan, so I kind of have to. And I can't watch Man United with him or else he'll get so mad at me. And on the other side, I've grown up kind of watching FC Dallas, the men's. And they actually like did okay. I don't know who they played, but they were down like 4-0. And then it was Seattle Sounders. Yeah, they played Seattle Sounders, and they were actually like down like by a lot, and they actually came back. I think they lost in the end still, but the fact that like a 3-0, like that's supposed to be like game over in soccer, and the fact that you can come back from that's amazing. And like players like I've looked up to, I'd have to say, who's the center back for the women's national team? Who was it? Yeah, you got to look it up. You got to Google it right now. But really, I mean, you can tell me players that like I should like look out for in my position, and kind of Lauren Tressfield, who plays for Paris, is a player I really look up to. She's actually like, I'm her biggest fan. I'm gonna send this to her and tell her to listen to.
It'll be online.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the 19th minute, we're in Tress Field. I am your biggest fan. I'm going to come to one of your games eventually whenever I visit you in Europe. It literally starts with an H, or like her last name. Yeah. Am I wrong? Like, okay, cool. But she's a very like strong like player, like, and I think I need to work on my distribution in the back, and she does a really great job. It's so crazy. Y'all are like, she's just making this up because she cannot remember her name. But
you're good at
yeah.
sports media major.
Exactly. I'm like dun dun dun. But she's really good at distribution out of the back, I've noticed, and she knows exactly where to play it before she even gets the ball. And that's something I look up to because that's something I really need to focus on as a player. And because my distribution, I will say it has gotten a lot better, but it needs to be even better. And it's not national team level. Like, so I need to work on that. And her defending is very smart, I will say. Like, she doesn't need to go to ground a lot, which is, like, really cool to see. Like, she knows exactly like her foot placement, while like 1v1 defending, and that's really good. So I kind of like look at those little things, but I like the way, my favorite is the way she picks passes because I watched her in the World Cup and it was amazing. And in the meantime, I'll answer this question. JC can literally wiggle, and Olivia Dow can wiggle their way out of anything, just like by like, faking people out, which is insane. Julia Lenhart rarely gives the ball away because she's just so like calm, collected, again, kind of knows where the ball needs to go before she even gets it. And same thing with Kim Rodriguez. I mean, I'll see how calm she is. Like, even whenever 3 players are on her, she's still doing that Cruyff, doing whatever she needs to do to get out. And me, whenever I get the ball, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's 3 people on me, let me boot it. Who is it? Yeah, we're gonna go back to this other question. But there is not.
Defenders. Becky Sauerbrunn is the one I was thinking of.
Becky Sauerbrunn. No, there was one. She didn't play in the World Cup this year, but
retired.
Yeah, she was retired. But that was my favorite player. I watched her in the World Cup. I said last World Cup, but I meant 2 World Cups ago. So, kind of. Yeah. See, and I kind of forget. Every 4 years, so it's not recent. But I mean, Abby Wambach too is like, the way she like headed the ball was insane. Like, as a defender, that's something else I've been wanting to work on, and how much power she gets behind it. I'm like, how do you do that? But I guess it makes sense. She's a national team player, so you got to be special, like, to be on the.
Work on headers. Do you just have to keep hitting yourself with a ball?
Yes. No. Whenever I was like in the driveway of like my house, I would try to throw it up and head it as hard as I could, and I just can't do it like Abby Wambach. So, but not a lot of people can. So I guess it's not a huge disappointment. But what is it? Going back, yeah, I've just learned Kim Rodriguez so composed. Allie Jackson very good at picking out the passes, distribution wise. Who else? And
Heather
even
O'Reilly, maybe?
Yes. Wait,
Heather Mitz.
It was Heather. Wait, I think it was Heather O'Reilly. Let me see. Yes. Boom. Did she play? I think so. I think that's her. Yeah. I mean, again, it was like a while ago. But like, I remember whenever I was younger, I would always like take notes. Like, my club coach was Hugh Bradford and Megan Wilson, and they would always be like, watch the World Cup, watch your position, take notes. We're going to talk about it at practice. So I would always take notes over her and her club team because I watched her club team as well. Can't remember the name. Again, it's been a minute. So, but yeah, I would always watch and take notes, and I would give it back to my coach, which really, I'm so glad he did that, because for a while I did watch a lot of soccer and I stopped doing that. So I stopped watching soccer, and I need to pick that back up because it's so fun to watch. Like, really, really fun to watch, especially whenever you have a team that you're rooting for. Who was your team again? Chelsea. Okay. That's great. You're like, hey, I'm out of this one, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hannah Webb is the only one who's answered the correct.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe I'll look into them, and maybe they could be my favorite team. You never know.
Probably.
You never know. But yeah, I've just learned like a lot of things from like my players here, and watching players, the people you want to be as well. I've just learned a lot from everyone, and it's just really great, and I love my time here.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time, and we've wasted 25 of your minutes. So we appreciate it, and best of luck the rest of the season. Good luck as postseason continues.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
There you go. We appreciate that once again, and Jordan and Jordan will finish things up right after this. There you go. That was Elise Hawn, and again, really appreciate her taking out a few minutes during their very busy season and sitting down with us. And we'll have much, much more. We'll be sure to recap the great tournament run that they're on right now, heading into the second round against the tough Santa Clara team that's coming up on Friday night. So appreciate you tuning in. Episode 36 in the books. This is the Cowgirl Coverage Podcast, Triple Play Podcast Network.